Thank you everyone for coming. The event is about to start, so can I please have everyone seated? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Can I please invite you to take your seats for the launch of the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme. Thank you again for coming, everybody. If we could ask you to take your seats and we'll get started with today's programme. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So great to see so much energy in the room on a Wednesday afternoon to talk about a very interesting topic. And so wonderful to also see a very full house. Good afternoon. My name is Alex Smith. I am the UK's Trade and Economic Counsellor to ASEAN, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the launch of the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme. Today's event has been designed by the UK Mission to ASEAN in partnership with ASEAN, the ASEAN Secretariat, Dialogue Partner Community, development agencies, and in businesses to strengthen the ASEAN-UK community ties and have a deeper trading relationship. Today is all about taking you through the content of the new ASEAN Economic Integration Programme and having engaging discussion around digitalisation and the potential that can provide for inviting MSMEs and women to participate in Southeast Asia's economy. So, with no further ado, let's get going. I would like to first introduce to the stage the UK's Ambassador to ASEAN, Sarah Tiffin, to give her opening remarks. Ambassador.
I love the musical introductions at these events. It's always hilarious. I feel I'm not dramatic enough to live up to that music. But anyway, thank you so much. Formally, good afternoon, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. But less formally, thank you so much to so many of my wonderful ASEAN PR colleagues for coming along, and also to other ambassadors who I can see in the room. And above all to Martin Kent, our senior economic official, and to Rhiannon Davis, who's also just starting in Singapore with responsibilities for ASEAN. It's lovely to have everyone here. And I also just really want to thank my team who've done a great job of pulling this event together. And I hope you'll find the information we're about to give you useful and interesting about the content of this programme. So as the UK's ambassador to ASEAN, it's a real pleasure to welcome you all here today for this official launch of the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme. We've been cooking it for a long time, and it's really exciting to get to the point where we're finally launching it on an unsuspecting world. And we're so honoured to have colleagues from the Secretariat, from Member States, from dialogue partners, from implementing agencies, economic development organisations and the private sector, both here in Jakarta and joining us online. I wanted to use my opening remarks to reflect on the steps that ASEAN and the UK have made together to bring us to this point in our relationship, which is a real milestone for us in a UK-ASEAN partnership that we feel is thriving. And I want first to recognise the multiple achievements we've made together to make this possible. We're not a new development partner in Southeast Asia. So this economic integration programme builds on past experience, and particularly the ASEAN Economic Reform Programme, which we ran from 2018 to 2023, and which contributed over £19 million in support of lasting improvements to the business environment across 7 member states. And we're building on that programme now with this formal ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme as part of the suite of programmes that we're building and delivering in support of our new dialogue partnership. Secondly, I want to recognise the many supporters from across ASEAN who were instrumental in making this exciting new programme possible. Really grateful to ASEAN senior economic officials, to the CPR, and to the many ASEAN sectoral bodies who've worked with the UK to design this programme so that it works for ASEAN. And it's only by investing so much in engaging and consulting that we've got to the point where we have official endorsement for the programme and the certainty that it really will contribute to our partnership as we've set it out in our ASEAN-UK Plan of Action. We're really serious about delivering our commitments as a dialogue partner. Our Plan of Action has 181 of them, so there's plenty to keep us busy. But we've actually already addressed 149 of those commitments in the last couple of years. And we now have 5 new programmes starting, this one, but other programmes also on education, on health, on the green transition and on women, peace and security. And we have growing cooperation across all 3 ASEAN pillars. So this relationship is really thriving. And I want to close with my hopes for the future. So my successor will stand here in 4 years' time, closing the Economic Integration Programme. And what do I hope that they will say it has achieved? Firstly, I hope that small businesses will find it easier to engage in the monumental economic growth in ASEAN, with lower barriers to trade and accessing the finance that they need to grow. Secondly, I really hope that we will see women increasingly empowered to participate in the economy. And ultimately, I hope that this programme will genuinely have contributed to a more integrated ASEAN economic community, which will catalyse all ASEAN countries to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. We've got a fantastic event ahead of us and a really exciting programme to look forward to. Thank you again for joining, and we hope you enjoy the afternoon. And can I ask that you now please look to the screen where we will hear a recorded message from the Secretary General of ASEAN, His Excellency Dr. Kyaw Kem Horn. Thank you.
Your Excellency Sarah Tiffin, UK's Ambassador to ASEAN, Your Excellency Martin Kent is Magistrate Commissioner for Asia Pacific, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the United Kingdom for the launch of the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme. Though I regret not being able to join you in person due to prior commitments, I am nonetheless delighted to deliver my remarks virtually on this momentous occasion. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, in less than 3 years since becoming ASEAN's newest dialogue partner, in August 2021, the UK has strongly demonstrated its active role in tightening economic cooperation with ASEAN in many different areas and effectively contributing to ASEAN's economic integration agenda. Our shared visions are being realized in the ASEAN-UK Plan of Action, as well as a joint ministerial declaration on future economic cooperation between ASEAN and the UK. Over the years, we have implemented numerous collaborative initiatives, including the Digital Innovation Partnership, the ASEAN Sustainable Leadership Programme, the ASEAN-UK Financial Services Collaboration, and the Ministerial Declaration on the framework of the ASEAN Industrial Project-Based Initiative, just to name a few. These initiatives and other activities underscore the breadth and depth of our partnership, illustrating our commitment to mutual growth and prosperity. Today, we are witnessing a significant moment in our regional economic partnership with the launch of the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme. This event marks a new milestone, presenting us with a new opportunity to further strengthen our existing economic cooperation and explore collaboration in other areas of shared priority. Amid the global economic challenges compounded by increasing geopolitical tensions, ASEAN and the UK have shifted our focus to various emerging priorities to ensure that ASEAN and the UK economies remain resilient, responsive, relevant, and forward-looking. Against this backdrop, I wish to highlight some of these initiatives where I believe the ASEAN member states and the UK can make a significant impact under this program. First, on supply chain resilience, ASEAN is pursuing supply chain resilience through a two-pronged approach, which includes, first, fostering global ASEAN strategy by upgrading some of the ASEAN Plus One FTAs, implementing the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or SUP, and entering into new FTA with new partners, such as Canada. And second, reinforcing the fundamentals of ASEAN single market by further undertaking a comprehensive range of measures to strengthen supply chain connectivity and resilience further. ASEAN is also implementing the framework for enhancing ASEAN supply chain efficiency and resilience to embrace its inherent advantage as a single market and production base of the fifth largest economy in the world, with an annual GDP of $3.3 trillion. The ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme could provide a valuable source of technical and financial support for ASEAN in this endeavor. Second, on digital transformation. Given the paramount importance of digital transformation for ASEAN's economic growth, ASEAN is accelerating the region's digital transformation. Apart from the ongoing negotiations of the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement, or DIFA, ASEAN is also undertaking various digital initiatives with a view to promoting inclusiveness, interoperability, and regulatory coherence across the ASEAN member states. The development of the implementation roadmap to establish regionally comparable and recognized unique business identification numbers, or UBIN, the new generation of the ASEAN single window, and the ASEAN payment policy framework for cross-border real-time retail payment system are among the most remarkable regional digital initiatives toward the establishment of the ASEAN digital economy. In this connection, we welcome the UK's technical support, capacity building activities, and sharing best practices to prepare the ASEAN member states for our transformation. Third, on sustainability initiatives. As part of ASEAN's efforts to foster sustainable growth in the region, ASEAN adopted the ASEAN Strategy for Carbon Neutrality, the Framework for Circular Economy for the ASEAN Economic Community, the ASEAN Blue Economy Framework, and the ASEAN Taxonomy for Sustainable Finance. These initiatives offer immense potential for economic cooperation between ASEAN and our dialogue partners, especially the UK. An analysis by the Boston Consulting Group, BCG, has highlighted that pursuing a carbon-neutral future can create a value add of $3 to $5.3 trillion to ASEAN's GDP by 2050. The transition also can attract $3.7 to $6.7 trillion in green investments and would generate between 49 and 66 million additional jobs in ASEAN. As the global forerunner in the green transition, the UK's significant expertise in green technology and know-how will position itself as one of the most valuable partners in ASEAN's journey to become a sustainable, low-carbon economy. I would also like to invite the UK to support the implementation of these initiatives under this program. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the implementation and monitoring of the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme will be a major undertaking and a rewarding journey, clustering into the three areas of regulatory reform, open trade, and financial services. The implementation of the program will involve at least 16 ASEAN sectoral bodies, spanning over 5 years with an allocated budget of up to £25 million. Rest assured that the ASEAN Secretariat stands ready to render our full support to ensure the successful implementation of the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme. Finally, I extend my sincere appreciation and I look forward to our continued collaboration under this program. I wish you a successful launch event. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Secretary-General and to Ambassador Tiffin for her opening remarks. I would now like to welcome to this podium Martin Kent, His Majesty's Trade Commissioner to the Asia-Pacific and the UK's Senior Economic Official to ASEAN, to give the keynote address. Martin.
Your Excellencies and distinguished guests, good afternoon to you all, and a very good morning to those of you dialing in from the UK. It's a real honour to join you today for the launch of the UK-ASEAN Economic Integration Programme, the UK's flagship programme to support ASEAN's economic integration, narrow ASEAN's development gap, and ensure that all ASEAN citizens benefit from this region's outstanding economic growth. The facts speak for themselves. Southeast Asia is on course to be the world's fourth largest economy by 2040, an economic powerhouse fueled by favourable demographics, industrialisation, urbanisation, and technological advances. It's little wonder, therefore, that as one of the fastest growing regions on Earth, ASEAN countries offer immense opportunities to increase trade and commerce, generate transformative investment, and find innovative solutions to tackle the biggest challenges that we face today. One of those challenges is getting the Sustainable Development Goals back on track. We know that groups still face daily poverty in this region. And since the COVID-19 pandemic, 4.7 million more people in Southeast Asia were pushed into extreme poverty in 2021. There is an estimated infrastructure funding gap of $26 trillion in Southeast Asia, and only a quarter of adults in ASEAN have full access to financial services, despite the region spending more time on the internet than any other globally. Since becoming an ASEAN Dialogue Partner, the UK has carefully considered how our new relationship can best address development challenges in ASEAN and strengthen ASEAN-UK trade ties, resulting in the programme that we are launching today. My huge thanks to colleagues from the ASEAN Secretariat and across ASEAN countries for all of the informative conversations, exchanges of research, and support in programme design and governance to bring us to this point. I wish specifically to thank Ibu Rimta, Head of ASEAN's Programme Cooperation and Project Management Division, and the directors in the Market Integration Division, the Integration and Monitoring Division, and Financial Inclusion Division for your true dedication and time in designing this programme. This ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme, investing £25 million up to 2026, seeks to support ASEAN in three ways. Firstly, enabling open trade across ASEAN. Free, fair and inclusive trade conducted within a system of transparent and predictable international rules, standards and institutions is a proven engine of economic transformation. In developing countries and economies, comprehensive trade liberalisation has been seen to increase economic growth by 1 to 1.5%, which results in 10 to 20% higher incomes after 1 decade. Secondly, encouraging regulatory reform to address barriers to trade in ASEAN. This pillar seeks to improve regulatory and standard systems in ASEAN through the provision of technical assistance, knowledge sharing, research and capacity building, bringing UK experts from the UK Product Office for Product Standards and Safety, the British Standards Institute, the Intellectual Property Office and the Competition and Markets Authority to ASEAN's doorstep. And thirdly, increasing financial inclusion. ASEAN is home to a diverse and rapidly growing population, with many individuals and businesses that are currently underserved by traditional financial institutions. By leveraging the UK's expertise and partnering with ASEAN governments and businesses, we can create innovative and inclusive financial solutions that meet the needs of this growing market. The programme will seek to tackle inequality with a focus on women's economic empowerment and support for micro, small and medium-sized enterprises in ASEAN. In addition to what the programme will seek to address, I also wanted to highlight to you 3 key features of this programme which will define its delivery. First is our focus on digital solutions to drive innovation and increase inclusion across the programme's activities. Globally, the existing digital divide means that 2.6 billion people remain offline. The benefits of digital transformation need to be more evenly distributed. Research, innovation, and new technologies are a key part of reducing poverty and enabling the green transition. Mobile telephones and expanding internet access are responsible for rapid gains in all aspects of development. And digital innovation has spurred financial inclusion, increasing access to financial services and empowering women. This programme will continue to encourage a digital-first approach, utilising ASEAN's high ambition for digital integration demonstrated through plans for the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement. Second is to underline that this programme will work directly with member states as well as the Secretariat, operating regionally and bilaterally to support ASEAN economic integration. The Economic Integration Programme is for ASEAN, recognising ASEAN's role as the lead in shaping Southeast Asia's economic architecture as set out in the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific. The activities will seek to support ASEAN in achieving its shared vision set out in the ASEAN Economic Blueprint and its successor document. But we all know how the dynamism and diversity of ASEAN can create difference. This creates a need for the programme to work slightly differently in each member state, respecting the opportunities and the challenges faced by each ASEAN member to deliver the right support for those citizens, including Timor-Leste. And I ask our ASEAN colleagues from every member state that we enter this programme with this principle in mind, so we can be confident that the tailored cooperation in each member state is working towards the shared ASEAN goal. And third is my commitment to encourage engagement from the private sector in the programme's work, as well as the experts working hard in the public sector. This will ensure that the outcomes can continue beyond the life cycle of the UK government's contribution as far as possible, from aligning international standards for goods manufactured across the region to introducing policies to enable fintech to reach ASEAN's unbanked. Such ambitions will only be realised if built upon by experts in the public sector and utilised by the private sector. Current UK-ASEAN trade stands at nearly £50 billion annually, with significant room for growth. From Dialogue Partnership in 2021, our first in-person ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting in 2022, delivery against our work plan in 2023, I see today as a collective celebration of not just the launch of this programme, but also the significant growth of ASEAN-UK relations. It's down to the collective commitment, dedication and vision of colleagues from across countries, sectors and organisation. My deepest and heartfelt thanks to you all for your attendance today. And to close the presentations this morning, can I please invite you all to look at the screen to learn more about this amazing journey that we have been on. Thank you.
Today marks the latest evolution of the UK's support for the ASEAN Economic Community. This builds on remarkable progress in the last 5 years. The foundation of this success is the rich history of economic cooperation between the UK and ASEAN. Our trading relationship is currently worth £48.8 billion. The UK is a top 10 investor in ASEAN. We value our strong economic ties with each member state, built over decades. The UK supported economic development of the ASEAN Economic Community before we became a dialogue partner. Our successful ASEAN Economic Reform Programme, which ran from 2018 to 2023, helped create a more robust business environment in the region.
In the Philippines, the UK supported the enactment of the Ease of Doing Business law, working closely with the Philippine Anti-Red Tape Authority. We supported the development of important strategic documents, such as the Philippines' Good Regulatory Principles and Re-Engineering Manual, inspired by the UK's own Regulators Code. On the back of this, the Philippines reached over 300 public agencies across the country for capacity building on effective regulation. On financial services, our program was able to partner with the Philippines to pave the way for the first fintech industry sandbox. Our partnership enabled the Philippines Central Bank Open Finance Framework, promoting secure data sharing to facilitate collaborative partnerships amongst financial institutions and broader financial inclusion.
In Vietnam, the UK helped to streamline business administrative procedures through the Regulatory Reform Workstream. We helped to develop Resolution 68, modelled on the UK's Administrative Burdens Reduction Programme, to reduce business regulations by 20%, both in number and compliance cost by 2025. We will build on this under the Economic Integration Programme, partnering with the Office of Product Safety and Standards to support Vietnam to address regulatory challenges and reform priorities.
The UK was delighted to become a dialogue partner in 2021. ASEAN economic ministers and the UK's Secretary of State signed a joint ministerial declaration on future economic cooperation, setting out our shared priorities. The ASEAN-UK Plan of Action and Economic Work Plan set out areas for cooperation, supporting mutual prosperity. In 2023 turned these plans into action. Today marks a major milestone, where we build on previous success and our shared commitment to free and open trade, sustainable economic development, and inclusive economies where nobody is left behind. We've co-designed 3 pillars with ASEAN. Regulatory reform. We'll work with ASEAN to streamline and harmonise regulations and standards, to improve the business environment and protect consumers. Promoting open trade. We'll foster increased trade openness and reduce barriers for businesses across the region. Developing financial services. We'll work together to boost financial inclusion. The programme seeks to take a digital-first approach, encouraging digital transformation in ASEAN. The programme will also focus on reaching MSMEs and women across the interventions, boosting inclusion and empowering all to participate in ASEAN's economic growth. Together, hand in hand, we can shape a more prosperous and equitable future for Southeast Asia.
Hello there. We are very excited about the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme. It brings forward a whole range of partnership opportunities And we in the Office of Product Safety and Standards are delighted that we're leading the regulatory reform pillar in that, working with our colleagues in the Intellectual Property Office, the British Standards Institution and the Competition and Markets Authority. We'll be working with our colleagues in ASEAN on a whole range of training and development opportunities, which together we think will make a great contribution to our shared agenda around prosperity, protection and a thriving partnership. It's great to be working with you and I wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that presentation. That brings us to the end of the discussion part. At this time, I'd like to invite the speakers who have been part of today to come up to the stage and take the ceremonial photo. So, Ambassador Tiffin, could you please join us? Martin, it would be wonderful to have you here, as well as Elizabeth Tay from the Philippines, who will be speaking later, if you'd like to come up on stage and take a photo with Amanda McLaughlin as well as the speakers who will be part of our panel discussion. So, Pat Donny, who I can see in the audience, please come on up. Dr. Zafar also, and Ken Beckerman-True, who will be moderating the discussions today. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Please take the stage. Thank you so much. Ken, Pat Donny and Dr. Zafar, please do stay on the stage. Pat Donny, I'm still on stage yet to be part of the panel discussion. And I'm going to now hand you over to Ken, who's going to take you through our panel. So over to you, Ken.
Well, brilliant, and thank you, Alex, and a good afternoon, everybody. Your Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to our ASEAN-UK EIP Forum event. My name is Kenneth Beckerman-True, your moderator for the session today, and I'm delighted to be able to introduce this esteemed panel to discuss the importance of the digital economy on MSMEs and women's economic empowerment. So, but before we start the discussion, I'd just like to do a quick introduction to each of the panel members. So from the UK team, we're pleased to have Martin Kent, the UK's Trade Commissioner to Asia Pacific, and our UK Senior Official to Economic Official to ASEAN. Martin brings a strong private sector and business focus for us, having started his career at Boston's Consulting Group and working with many multinational companies in London and the Asia Pacific region. And prior to his current role, Martin was the Deputy Head of Mission in the British Embassy Tokyo and Director in the UK's Department for Business and Trade. I'd also like to introduce Dr. Zafar Abdul Jalil, Director for the ASEAN's Integration Monitoring Directorate and a close collaborator with the UK. In particular, Dr. Zafar and his ASEAN team partnered with the UK Mission to ASEAN to complete the first ever ASEAN-UK economic project, looking at the ASEAN's economic resilience post-COVID. Prior to his role as the ASEAN Director, Dr. Zafar was a senior economist at the Islamic Development Bank in Jeddah, senior manager at Malaysia's Securities Commission, and associate professor of economics at University Utara, Malaysia. We're also fortunate to be joined by Dr. Ming Tan today, virtually. Good afternoon there, Dr. Ming. Founding Executive Director for the Tech for Good Institute, one of ASEAN's top thought partners on tech and digital economy, and a world-leading think tank on technical and business model innovation, and on Southeast Asia's own digital progress in enabling inclusive and equitable growth in the region. Dr. Ming is concurrently a senior fellow at the Center for Governance and Sustainability at NUS, National University of Singapore. And to conclude the lineup, we welcome Pak Doni, Cluster CEO for Indonesia and ASEAN markets at Standard Chartered Bank, where he's responsible for overseeing Standard Chartered Bank's business operations across Indonesia, Australia, Brunei, and the Philippines. Prior to this role, he was Standard Chartered's Vice Chairman for ASEAN, responsible for driving execution of the bank's ASEAN strategy across all 10 ASEAN countries. We're also really grateful for Pak Doni's support as a close friend of the UK mission to ASEAN and British MC Jakarta, in his capacity as a board member for the UK-ASEAN Business Council and also the chair of the British Chamber in Indonesia. So thank you again to all the panel members, and it's great to have your expertise today. So without further ado, and because we have quite a tight schedule for this, turning now to the discussion and getting right into the nitty-gritty of why we're here today. Today's topic is focused on the impact of the digital economy on ASEAN MSMEs and women's economic empowerment. And as two cross-cutting themes for the EIP programme, which will cut across all of the work streams going forward, digitalisation and inclusion are key priorities. And it's really important for us to understand how best to deliver for ASEAN consumers, businesses, and the economy. So the UK team in particular are interested in hearing from the panel of experts today from a diverse set of views for their advice to help inform implementation of the EIP programme. So we're very grateful, as I said, to have such an esteemed panel to help us with that. But before we do, it'd be great to have our first question to Martin to focus a little bit more about the EIP. We heard, and thank you from your opening remarks about that, but a little bit more about why those three pillars. So our first question to you, Martin, is why the UK government has chosen to focus on the three pillars, and how does the UK government envisage leveraging this investment to bolster ASEAN centrality, whilst also fostering digital innovation and inclusive economic growth? It's quite a mouthful, sorry. But over to you.
Thank you so much, Ken. And ASEAN is just such an important partner for the UK in realising what we call our Indo-Pacific tilt, our real focus and engagement in this part of the world. The UK absolutely supports ASEAN centrality and also our vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. Member countries have some of the fastest growing economies in the world, and we want to deepen our economic partnership and work together to tackle global challenges, including climate change. And ASEAN's economic community is the largest integration effort attempted in the developing world. If realised, it will create a single market with the free movement of goods, services, foreign direct investment and skilled labour, and free movement of capital encompassing over 650 million people. So ASEAN and ASEAN centrality really matters. This programme has been in development for 3 years, designed in continuous collaboration with our ASEAN friends and partners. And those three pillars reflect the commitments made by UK ministers back in 2021 to support open trade, financial services, digital innovation, and MSME support, as well as, very importantly, women's economic empowerment, as were set out in the Joint Ministerial Declaration on Future Economic Empowerment Cooperation between ASEAN and the UK. And these are issues discussed at the annual ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting, and they're also captured in our agreed work plan to track activity in the economic pillar, as well as the ASEAN-UK plan of action. So that the UK has really worked closely with ASEAN bodies to refine the programme, ensuring the delivery model has the flexibility to adapt to ASEAN's need. And this is really important because we aim for the programme to address the challenges at the regional level and create synergy with other projects that are addressing the same issues. We want it to be ASEAN-led, engaging all ASEAN member states, adhering to the principles of the ASEAN Charter. And we also want it to align with the ASEAN Community Blueprints and other relevant ASEAN documents. And we've completed extensive research on the needs of the region to which this programme is responding to. So taking into account the ambition of ASEAN, the needs of ASEAN, the expertise and experience of the UK, noting where the UK can support alongside other dialogue partner colleagues, all the evidence pointed to those three pillars that I've run through. Simplified and aligned regulations are key to an attractive investment environment, saving traders money and creating a more stable, reliable environment for businesses to invest and flourish. And as I said in my opening remarks this afternoon, that in developing economies, comprehensive trade liberalisation has been seen to increase economic growth by 1 to 1.5%, resulting in 10 to 20% higher incomes after a decade. And by enabling trade flows of goods and services across ASEAN borders and between ASEAN and its trading partners, ASEAN will be accessible, transparent, which is especially pertinent for MSMEs. So our research showed that ASEAN had a disproportionate level of financial inclusion, especially given high levels of access to the internet and mobile phones. And most ASEAN markets also lack deep and liquid capital markets and have a domestic focus. And bank lending is still the dominant form of finance. So this programme is going to improve accessibility to finance for the poorest in society through fintech and the digital payment systems, improve the processes behind cross-border payments and remittance services, including data sharing, and improve financial literacy to increase access and investment, leading to growth in the region. And I think just a very quick comment on why we're taking a digital-first approach. The digital-first approach is really in reaction to ASEAN's ambitions as set out in the incoming ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement. We know that digital trade is efficient, it's inclusive, and it's simplified for the end user. Just look at the booming e-commerce market in Southeast Asia as our inspiration here. So our programme will focus on introducing technology and innovation in all three pillars, drawing on UK expertise and existing activity, like the UK-ASEAN Digital Innovation Partnership.
Thank you very much, Martin. And I think what really struck me from all of that is the sort of extensive consultation with ASEAN and ASEAN member states, but also the extensive amount of evidence base that comes with that. So that sort of needs-based approach really, and also I think the UK's comparative advantage in where it has its niche to offer something. So thank you very much from the UK team and the UK perspective. What's really great is if we could maybe move on to talk to Dr. Zafar from an ASEAN and ASEC perspective about your perspective really around how this links to the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint for 2045. So as key beneficiaries for the ASEAN-UK EIP across its three pillars, how does EIP support ASEAN's initiatives on digital transformation, enhancing economic resilience, and ensuring inclusive economic growth across ASEAN member states, but as well as linking, as we were saying, and as Martin was saying, to sort of the future longer-term priorities under the 2045 blueprint?
Thank you for having us today. So I think before that, just to mention that the EIP is very relevant to ASEAN because it addresses our current needs and also the priorities of ASEAN, especially in the ASEAN Economic Community, and especially when we are in the midst of charting our post-2025 agenda. And I think as we are navigating these complexities, we are our collaborations with the UK becomes increasingly crucial. And then especially in advancing our shared goals, I think in the three areas that you mentioned, digital transformations, economic resilience, and inclusive growth. So I'll touch on two areas where we hope to leverage on this program to actually advance our works in ASEAN Economic Community. One is in the area of digitalization. So I think it's been mentioned earlier that one of the key initiatives that ASEAN is currently pursuing is the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement. So this is launched in September last year during the 23rd ASEAN Economic Community Council. And I think UK has already been supporting us in this. We have organized a workshop with the UK in collaborations with the International Chamber of Commerce of the UK as well as the ICC Digital Standards Initiative, addressing the issues of how we want to see how the unilateral model of the UN can be implemented in ASEAN. And then I think DEFA negotiations has already started, and then there are 9 areas that we'll be looking into. And obviously, these 9 areas covers quite a range of issues, and then and we believe that UK can play a significant role in supporting ASEAN in those negotiations, ensuring that we will be able to achieve the ambitions that we set for ourselves. Because I think when we started the negotiations, our basis will be the study that has been conducted by BCG, leading to those 9 areas that we should be focusing on. But then obviously, since this is the negotiations, to what extent we can achieve those ambitions would depend on the outcome of those negotiations. So UK coming in and assisting us through capacity buildings to the AMS would in a way help us toward achieving those ambitions. And I think digitalization, another area that is of very important to us, is the ASEAN single window. I think we had a discussion earlier with Pak Doni on how ASEAN should move forward when it comes to digitalization of its trade instruments or trade documents. When it comes to ASEAN single window, our priority now is to see how this can be extended to our dialogue partners, because I think ASEAN is not only trading among ourselves, but we are also an open, we consider our regionalism as open regionalism. So we hope that ASEAN single window can be extended to our dialogue partners as well. And obviously, this is also an area that we hope to work closely with the UK through this Economic Integration Programme. There are also several areas on the digitalization agenda that we hope to leverage on the expertise of the UK. For example, in terms of digital infrastructure development, in terms of improving our digital literacy, in terms of fostering innovation ecosystems, and then touching on another yet important agenda for ASEAN, which is the digital identification number for our businesses. So I think that's something that we are looking into, and obviously this would require a lot of capacity building from relevant dialogue partners, including the UK. And if I can touch a little bit on our work on MSMEs, which is of relevant when we talk about inclusiveness in ASEAN, especially, I mean, our goal is to ensure that whatever we are pursuing when it comes to ASEAN Economic Integration Agenda would not only benefits the big multinationals, right? So we also want to ensure that our MSMEs would be able to actually benefit from this initiative. So I think one of the pillars of this EIP is on financial services, especially on financial inclusion. So that's something that we are struggling with, especially for our MSMEs. And then if you will talk about women entrepreneurs, then the issue is a little bit more elevated, right? The financing gap for women entrepreneurs is very huge in the region, I think, as well as in other parts of the world. And we believe that digitalization would present an opportunity for us to somehow alleviate this issue. So we look forward to work closely with the UK on these specific issues. So I think my time has already ended. So I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zafar, and also for the specificity in some of the areas where we could be working on in digitalization and inclusion. I think hopefully the program team has been jotting those down and ensuring that's part of the further scoping work that we'll be doing. But that's incredibly helpful. But it was also really helpful to have Dr. Ming Tan hearing some of those areas, particularly on the digitalization side. And we're really grateful to have you here from Singapore, Dr. Ming. But also, I think from the perspective, the think tank perspective, it's been great to hear the G2G side. And we're particularly keen now to hear a little bit more from what our think tanks are saying, but also from our private sector in due course. So, Dr. Ming, it'd be great from your perspective, through your work at the Tech for Good Institute, how can we, as the UK, working with our partners, ensure an inclusive economic development while maximising the potential of the region's digital transformation?
Thank you so much, Ken, and hello, everybody. I'm so sorry I can't be here with you in person. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. You know, we are a young nonprofit, so it's really a great privilege to be here at the launch of the UK-ASEAN Economic Integration Programme. Ken, I think I might flip your question a little bit. Instead of striving for inclusion while maximizing the potential of the region's digital transformation, from the Tech for Good Institute's perspective, we believe that the potential of our region can only be maximized through inclusive digitalization and inclusive economic development. If we take the MSME angle, for example, that's 71 million firms across the region, accounting for 97% of all businesses, and they employ 2/3 of the working population. Now, I think it doesn't necessarily have to be G2B. It can be G2B2B, because MSMEs generally they enter the digital economy via digital platforms, whether it's online platforms like Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, or through online to offline platforms. E-commerce was mentioned just now. And through these platforms, they access their customers, vendors, and services, but they don't have to invest so much in the basic costs of digital transformation, like cybersecurity and data protection and compliance. And the value chain for these companies are both physical and digital. They are in turn are the first and last mile for products and services in the markets that they serve. So they're absolutely vital. And then on top of that, the digital transformation is much more than just a driver of economic growth. I think the pandemic demonstrated use cases for digital transformation of public services, from health to education. Martin mentioned in the keynote speech, however, that these benefits are not necessarily evenly distributed at the moment. And the pandemic exposed and exacerbated the digital divide between the underconnected and the hyperlinked, so to speak. Martin also mentioned the importance of digital transformation, not just to grow the economy, but also to enable all the other transitions that we have to within this decade, like transiting to a low carbon and circular economy. So in a nutshell, economic value creation is absolutely vital, but it's not enough. And, you know, we have to, in a way, move from this idea of tech for growth into tech for good, if I might sort of shout the name of my organization. If I drill down and use women as an example, you know, we can talk about so many use cases about how digital transformation can and has empowered women. Digitalization of using national digital IDs to enable social protection. E-commerce and food delivery platforms extending opportunity for women-owned MSMEs, or Grab and Gojek and ride-hailing apps, not just, you know, actually extending transport equity and safety for mobility for women. But girls and women account for over half of the population in Southeast Asia. So closing the digital divide is not just a matter of empowerment, it is a strategic imperative to harness the full capability of the citizens of this region. We have a long way to go. Women make up 32% of the tech sector across Southeast Asia, but only 15% of CEO and board level positions. I think the UK is a little bit better. I think they hold something like 42% of board seats at big UK firms. But it's really important to have women at every level in the organizations because diverse workforces mean that you can develop fit for purpose solutions that are reflective of the populations. Now, in addition to inclusion, if I may, I think that the EIP can also do a lot to support our region in building an innovative digital economy. Dr. Zafar mentioned innovation ecosystems. And by that, from our perspective, we think about not just technology and inventions, but business model innovation and policy innovation. Policy innovation is absolutely critical given the pace and scale of disruption through digitalization, and even more with AI and Gen AI today. And the truth is, though, that businesses move fast and governments move slow. So the EIP, I think, can really complement existing ASEAN efforts to diversify tools in the policy toolbox, so to speak. For example, the UK has been a great pioneer in the space of fintech sandboxes. And just now, the British ambassador to the Philippines mentioned the launch of the fintech sandbox in the Philippines. So ASEAN governments are now adopting to different degrees, principle-based rather than prescriptive policies, partnerships with industry on codes of conduct. And I think we can learn a lot as well in terms of best practice sharing. So this is why the EIP pillar on regulatory reform is really, really timely to share these practices on how to ensure governance of emerging technologies and business models that on one hand enable and encourage innovation, but also mitigate risk to societies and institutions and maintain public trust so that the adoption of these solutions can happen.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dr. Ming. I mean, there's so much there that I'd love to unpack, particularly around business model innovation and financial policy innovation. But thank you very much for that view. And perhaps if we can move on to Pak Donny and the views from the private sector. And we heard about potentially the G2B2B relationship there from Dr. Ming as well. So Pak Donny, a question for you around how the UK private sector, particularly entities like Standard Chartered, can leverage its expertise to support UK government and ASEAN in advancing the pillars of regulatory reform, financial services, and open trade within the EIP.
Thank you, Ken. And it's a privilege to be here. First of all, can I just take this opportunity to compliment and applaud actually this initiative of the launch of the UK-ASEAN Economic Integration Programme, because for us, private sector with strong focus on ASEAN, this is really something actually that's been, we've been waiting actually with bated breath for quite some time, and actually the realization actually is now, so it's really great. It's a new era, essentially. To answer your question very shortly, private sector can help in a lot of ways because private sector companies are the actual economic actors who are doing the trade and investments between the UK and within actually the ASEAN, within the UK and ASEAN and within the region itself. Now, specifically for us, Standard Chartered, maybe a quick context, actually we're the only international financial institutions with presence in all the 10 ASEAN markets. So for us, ASEAN is a very important part of our global franchise. We've been deeply rooted in the region for over 100 years, essentially. So we work very closely with the ASEAN governments. We are the sole advisor on sovereign ratings for the government of Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, for example. We're the mainstay issuers of the global bonds. So that helps actually in intermediating that capital movement from the global north to the global south. Actually, global bonds actually is exactly one of the instruments to attract that capital coming in, other than the loans and others, right? So in that context, I think specifically about, we talked about digitization, and I think, Martin, you mentioned about the 3 pillars of the EIP. And we believe that that's really something actually that's quite spot on, if you will. Open trade, regulatory reform, and financial inclusion. For us, in particular, resonated actually with what we have been trying to advocate within the region. When you talk about the trade, I think we had earlier, Dr. Zafar alluded to our discussions earlier. So the way actually we see that is that in order to increase participation in global trade, you have to make the process more accessible, transparent, and secure. Now, digitizing trade will help to achieve all of those. The benefit actually will be, sort of felt by not just the governments of the countries within the region, as well as actually with the other trading partners, but also permeating, trickling down to the economic actors and MSME in this particular case. Because if you talked about, I think Martin, you also highlighted about the, the whole sort of appeal of ASEAN as a region. Fourth largest trading bloc in the world, the demographic bonus and all the rest of it. But one of the things actually that is very important in ASEAN economic growth is the MSMEs. If you see it actually befitting the developing country nature of many of the ASEAN markets, MSMEs, very important actually part of that economic growth. And how do we tap into that? Through having actually, giving greater financial access to them. Digital solutions is really actually the key towards that. Now, digital trade, I think actually we talked earlier about, again, we applaud Secretary General's mention about DEFA, because we believe that we have to get that up and running, particularly on digitizing that trade, that electronic bill of lading, promotion of that common law for the electronic transfer of records, if you will. So that will help digitize, simplify, and lowering down the cost of trade within the ASEAN markets and with the trading partners. On financial inclusion, just on the last point, I think we as a financial institutions, I'll give you one example in Indonesia. We sold our whole entire mass market retail banking actually to a local bank on personal loans and credit cards and so on, because we shifted the strategy fully on our mass market retail banking into digital space. So we pioneered in Indonesia the first banking as a service model, where we boosted just within a year, we boosted our client base in Indonesia from, in 160 years of our history in Indonesia, so the most actually that we got in retail banking clients is about 300,000, 400,000 clients. In the last 1 year, by partnering with fintech partners, we've boosted it into 1.4 million as of now. So we basically have a partnership with those fintechs, the likes of Amarta, that focuses on women entrepreneurs, focuses actually on the underprivileged MSMEs, if you will, actually that they don't have access to, the non-bank sort of populations. So we got actually that up and running, actually in terms of the buy now, pay later, as well as actually opening the accounts through our partner, previously Bukalapak. Then we're going to partner with Dana, is the largest e-wallet in Indonesia. So these type of models actually show you that we don't have that many branches. We're an international bank. We're not a domestic local bank in Indonesia. But through this channel, actually we can amplify the access and the reach to the wider sort of population, if you will. The last but not least is that from a corporate sort of banking side of things, we partner with quite a number of financial institutions that specializes in providing financing for women MSME entrepreneurs. So this is called actually Mitra Buka Keluarga in Indonesia. It's a first pioneering Grameen Bank model kind of financing that provide financing, so risk participation actually from us. We may not have that specific distribution network, if you will, to go into the deep tier kind of areas in a country like Indonesia, but we leverage partnership with these financial institutions that provide specialized sort of financing for that. And that partnership actually has proven to be pretty good. And I think actually it's been replicated by other international financial institutions in Indonesia.
Thank you very much, Pak Tony. A huge amount already going on in the private sector, but I think that, again, there's still more that we can be doing, and hopefully that the ASEAN Economic Integration Programme will be able to support and further bolster those efforts from the private sector. I just thought maybe just a couple of minutes to bring Martin back in, perhaps to just give his reflections from the panel of experts around sort of the advice that, and their perspectives. Martin, if there was anything in particular, either through the business model innovation or through the role of the private sector at this stage that you'd like to maybe respond to. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. I think my overriding takeaway is the energy and enthusiasm and the appetite to do good and the opportunity that all of these elements hold for citizens across ASEAN, but also in terms of delivering shared objectives that we all have across the world, that the UK shares in that endeavour. I think we're in a rapidly changing period in terms of consumer and business behaviours. I think the geopolitical forces are impacting global supply chains and therefore businesses are working ever more closely together. And things like digitisation, the digital economy, these kind of innovations are moving rapidly. And it's really inspiring to see the shared level of energy, dynamism and ambition across public, private sectors and partners to deliver good to all citizens of ASEAN on this in partnership.
Thank you very much, Martin. I think we're planning to maybe take a few questions, but I think we're sort of to time because of the richness of the responses that we've had today. But I will have a cheeky one last question for myself, but from the discussion that we've been having, and maybe just to our external panel members, again, just maybe in one or two words, what policy advice would you give the UK in terms of its partnering with ASEAN to ensure a successful economic digitalisation that ensures economic inclusiveness in ASEAN? So perhaps over to you, Dr. Ming, first. Any one or two words to just sum up that sort of advice that you would give us?
Sure. I think it's really about ensuring fitness for purpose. When working with ASEAN member states, the UK has amazing expertise, and we keep in mind the long-term view for regional integration and interoperability. But we are a region of 100 ethnic groups. We speak over 1,000 languages, and we have amazing diversity in legal traditions, religion, and culture. So really, there's no cookie-cutter solution that will work across the region. So fitness for purpose is absolutely vital.
Thank you. Dr. Zafar?
I think it's about being responsive to the needs of ASEAN and priorities. I think ASEAN over the years, we become clearer on what we want to achieve as a community. I think, and then we really look forward for supports from our dialogue partners in order for us to achieve all those goals that we have set for ourselves. I think maybe previously we are still struggling on the issues of, for example, digitalizations and decarbonizations. But now I think our ambitions are a little bit clearer, and then we kind of know what we want to achieve on those areas. And the supports of our dialogue partners are very much welcome in these areas.
Thank you. And over to you, Pak Tony.
I think it's for the UK government to continue to champion greater implementation of digital trade, standardizations of sort of trade and financial inclusions and taxonomies. That's actually very important across the region. Deep tier supply chain finance and accelerating green transition.
Gosh, so hearing standardization there, but also agility and being able to be responsive to differing needs. So that's quite a challenge, but a really, really helpful. And we do think that the EIP is really working to a model of agile programming. So we hope it will be working in that direction, but bringing consistency through standards and rules and norms. So I think that's all we've got time for. A huge thank you again to our panel for being with us to share their insights and guidance as we look to start our journey of implementation with ASEAN and ASEAN member states. So I'm going to pass back to Alex slightly late, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken, and what an insightful panel. We are coming to the end of today's proceedings, and to start to close our ceremony today, I'd like to invite Deputy Ambassador to the Philippines' permanent mission to ASEAN, Elizabeth Tay, to give some closing remarks. So, Ambassador, the floor is yours.
First of all, thank you for promoting me early. I'm Deputy Permanent Representative, but currently Chargé d'Affaires, but thank you very much. So, Your Excellency, Ambassador Tiffin, Your Excellency, Ambassador Latifa, Country Coordinator for ASEAN-UK Dialogue Relations, Senior Economic Official Martin Kent, His Majesty's Trade Commissioner for the Asia Pacific, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for the Philippines as Country Coordinator for ASEAN-UK Economic Relations to be with all of you today at the launching of this endeavor. Even as continents and oceans separate us, what we have heard today from all our speakers, including the UK's Senior Economic Official Martin Kent, His Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Asia Pacific, gives us confidence that the ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme, or the EIP, will be able to span that distance and bring our economies closer than ever. Through the EIP, as a main mechanism, we look forward to realizing the commitments under the ASEAN-UK Economic Cooperation Work Plan, as well as further implementing the Plan of Action to implement the ASEAN-UK Dialogue Partnership, and the Work Plan to implement the Joint Ministerial Declaration on Future Economic Cooperation between ASEAN and the UK. We further note how the EIP provides ASEAN sectoral bodies and member states with the opportunity to co-design projects for specific areas of cooperation during the implementation phase, focusing on regulatory reform, open trade, and financial services. Today's discussions on the impact of the digital economy on ASEAN micro, small, and medium enterprises and women's economic empowerment will certainly contribute to these future projects, especially that digitalization, inclusivity, and sustainability have become overarching elements in post-pandemic economic recovery efforts. ASEAN has made significant steps in its sustainability and digitalization agenda, with the finalization of the ASEAN Strategy on Carbon Neutrality and the launch of the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement negotiations. As we work towards the conclusion of the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement by 2025, discussions like these also help us set our sights on a digital future that is prosperous, sustainable, and inclusive. Once finalized, DIFA will be the first region-wide digital economy agreement in the world, expected to expand the regional digital economy by up to $2 trillion by 2030. For that, we look forward to more activities that support ASEAN economic integration, including through technical assistance, capacity building, and knowledge transfer to all ASEAN member states. We express our appreciation to the United Kingdom as one of the global leaders on inclusivity, sustainability, and digitalization for actively engaging ASEAN on these areas through the EIP. We look forward to the United Kingdom's continuing support for the ASEAN Economic Community's goals and priorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And for the final word today, I'm going to hand you to Amanda McLaughlin, who is the UK's Head of International Development for ASEAN and Southeast Asia. So Amanda, please, the floor is yours.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Deputy Ambassador Elizabeth, for those very kind words. It is my pleasure to bring today to a close. Following all of the insightful remarks from our keynote speakers and all of the energy and enthusiasm for our colleagues on the panel, there are a few reflections that I would like to leave us with. The ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme's central purpose is to address poverty in the ASEAN region by creating a business environment which all can navigate and engage with. The UK's International Development White Paper, which is called International Development in a Contested World, Ending Extreme Poverty and Tackling Climate Change, emphasizes that to achieve sustainable and inclusive economic growth, you need to involve all members of society. The UK is dedicated to sustainable development and takes our global role seriously in support of achieving the SDGs by 2030. To reach all citizens, digitalization will be a vital tool. The technology landscape in ASEAN is rapidly evolving. With increasing mobile internet penetration and the rise of digital platforms, digital trends offer opportunities for MSMEs and women to access new markets and scale their business. We heard from the panel how the growth potential of ASEAN's digital economy will benefit MSMEs and women through improved market access, finance, and upskilling. Regulatory reform is a central feature of an effective e-commerce sector. Financial services development, especially digital payments, are essential for MSME growth. Finally, for this program to reach the full potential and have full impact, public sector expertise and private sector involvement are vital in boosting UK-ASEAN cooperation, particularly when it comes to sharing best practice, technology transfer, and capacity building. We all work with our partners committed to the priorities of international finance mobilization, strengthening and reforming the international system, harnessing innovation and new technologies, and building resilience. The UK is committed to enduring partnerships based on our shared economic development principles. As we draw this launch event to a close, let us carry forward the spirit of innovation and collaboration that has defined these discussions today. Together, let's forge a path towards economic prosperity, leveraging our collective strengths and the thriving UK-ASEAN partnership to build a brighter future for all. Thank you again for your participation and dedication for today's ASEAN-UK Economic Integration Programme launch. I look forward to working with colleagues in this room and those who've joined us online to deliver this ambitious programme in the years to come. Thank you very much.
And that's all we have time for today. So thank you so much. That brings our event to a close. It is a real pleasure to see so many faces, and I do hope that you can join us for a drink, a discussion, and to raise our glass to celebrate the new ASEAN UK Economic Integration Programme. So thank you so much, and see you very soon.